Hey guys, welcome back. It is Watch Us Homeschool Wednesday, and today we're doing a Do a Lesson video with us, and it is on Story of the World. We are on volume 3 this year. I'm giving you a quick flip through of the chapter we're going to be reading today, which is on the American Revolutionary War. And I'm going to show you guys how we go through that, what we do, the activity guide as well, and just how that all works in our home. So thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, do subscribe. Also like, comment, and share the videos with your friends who you think would also find these helpful. All right, so we are just about to get started, and I wanted to show you guys briefly what my kiddos are doing while I'm going to be reading this lesson. And we do several books all together at the same time, and I read all of those. And while I'm reading those, they are working on things themselves. Sometimes it is a handcraft, sometimes it is a logic game or a video game that is educational in some manner. And I'll show you guys more in depth at the end of this video exactly what they're working on, but they are working to build some things from their history lesson on their games. So a little bit of fun, not always work. Sometimes we have to have a little fun. I've got my oldest here working on some needle felting, and you can see on the table some activities I had out for my 4-year-olds. All right. Hey guys, we're going to start our history lesson. It's actually a fun one because we are starting, listen please, don't interrupt. We're starting the American Revolution. Who remembers the American Revolution?
Me.
What was it a war with?
It was a war with the Americans and the bad guys. That's why it's called the
British
American
and
Revolution.
Yeah, the British and the English, the Americans, they'd come over. They'd come over from England. They wanted to worship God in a way that they could, right? And when they came over, the British, the king was upset. Because why? Who knows why?
Because he didn't want to have a fight.
Well, he didn't like that they had left.
Well, one time I'm going to be right.
Control.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's read about it here. The English Empire was growing. England owned the eastern coast of North America, but the Americans would only be British for 13 more years. During the 7 Years' War, Britain had spent hundreds and thousands of pounds defending the American colonies. The British thought it was high time for the colonies to put some of that money back into England's treasury. And the simplest way to do that was to pass laws requiring the Americans to pay extra taxes. So Parliament and the King's ministers wrote a series of new tax laws called Acts. The first tax law, the Sugar Act, was passed just 1 year after the Treaty of Paris. Now Americans had to pay extra money for all sugar and molasses that came into American ports, unless the sugar came from Britain. The Stamp Act told them to pay extra money to Britain every time they bought newspapers, pamphlets, dies, or anything like playing cards. And every time a legal document like a will or a diploma was written, the colonists who owned it had to pay a fee to get it stamped and made official. So each chapter in this book is divided into sections. Usually there's 2 sections, but sometimes there's 3. And the way that I do this is I do 1 chapter per week, and then I do 1 section for each day. So usually the reading of the chapter would take 2 days, sometimes 3, and it takes about 20 minutes, give or take, to do that reading each day. So it doesn't take very long, and I do like the way that it's done in a story format. It kind of makes it easy to understand and keeps it interesting, and it's not just names and dates. But as we've gotten into these further along in these books, it does seem like it's getting a little bit more technical and a little bit more less story-like. But I talk about that a whole lot more on Friday when I show you guys in depth how this works, what it looks like close up, and I talk to you guys about whether or not we're going to continue it next year. So look forward for that on Friday.
Ready or deaf?
Was that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this your log cabin? Is that what it is? Okay. Very good.
There's a builder.
Can you tell me, let's see,
This is in my face.
is that your guy?
That's a builder, Mama.
So my kids love to build and play on Minecraft and Roblox, but I wanted it to be educational. So what we have done is I have them build things that pertain to the lesson. So here he built a log cabin. At the end of the video, you'll see some other things that some of my other kids were working on. And I really like that we can use the multimedia in our homeschool because it does take the fun that they want and the education that I want and kind of molds them together. So we had done pyramids in the past, and this is just a fun way to, like I said, combine those. British leaders knew that Americans were also preparing for war. They could see young American men practicing with their weapons. They planned to march most of the night and to arrive at Concord suddenly, surprising the Americans and taking the weapons away. But the Americans found out about this plan, and two Boston men, Paul Revere and William Dawes, were given. So this is day 2. We are still reading from Story of the World from our history book in the same chapter, but this is the second part of that chapter. This particular chapter has just 2 parts, so it takes 2 days to do the readings for this story, and it is about the American Revolutionary War now. And the first part was kind of about the precursor to that. And they're reading through, I'm still reading through it here, but they are still working on something quietly. We are going to be doing some activities, and I'm going to show you guys again some further things of how we use Roblox and Minecraft in our homeschool. And stared back at him, their muskets ready, and the opposite.
Oh, I know what a musket is.
What is it?
It's a really cool. It's a gun, but it's only one shot.
It's a what?
It's a one shot.
Is it? I don't know about it.
And you have to shoot it one time
And then reload it? I see.
I played it, you know.
Now this particular chapter doesn't go too much in depth. Again, I'm going to talk about this with you guys on Friday in my review of Story of the World, but it didn't go too much in depth. So I have added periodically through our homeschool year little stories and little things to kind of feed in and add to that story because I feel like it's so important and it's just not aptly covered. Shooting from the cover of trees nearby. Before the journey was over 200 British soldiers were dead, and the War of American Independence had begun. The news spread all through the colonies. Men got ready to fight. The Second Continental Congress met together and made George Washington the commander of the whole colonial army. So this is the Story of the World activity book for volume 3. It does come as one big book, and I have separated it into 2 sections with a teacher manual separated from the student sheets so that I have them divided. But this does come as one book. This is the chapter that we are doing right now, and you can see there are some review questions that I could ask the kids to go along with what we've been reading on the first day. There's also review questions to go along with the second day. There's some examples of narrations that if I wanted to have them give me a narration, there are some things there that I may want to make sure that we're covered, or I can also copy that down and have them copy it just into their journal as they go. There are some additional books here that are suggested as if we wanted some more reading about each topic. There are some suggestions there, and it tells you a little bit about them. And here are some projects. I absolutely love how they have activities and projects in here. That's one thing that I really like about this. Again, I'll talk about it more in depth on Friday. And it has all these little things in here that we can do. There is map work, which we are going to do in this video in just a few minutes. I'll show you guys that. And there are coloring pages for your little guys if you have little ones joining you like I do. There are craft ideas. Now, we did not do this flag craft because we have recently done a flag craft, and we also didn't do the little paper dolls that it has included, which I thought were just absolutely precious, but my kids were kind of over it by this point because we've done several paper dolls throughout this year and they just didn't want to do it this time. So we actually don't do a bunch of activities in this book. To supplement that, I did come up with some other activities that we are doing, and I'm going to show you guys that. They did a little American Revolutionary goofy reenactment with their little people. My little guys did, and it is so silly, but it's so, it still shows me that they were listening. So there's that. This is the Declaration of Independence. It gives you that in there. I talk about that earlier in the school year because we actually read a great book on the Declaration of Independence that I shared with you guys in my curriculum review way back. I guess it was about halfway through the school year. Now this is the second part of the activity book. I just have it divided into 2 separate books to make it easier to hold. And I'll show you all of the activity pages that come with this chapter. So you've got right here, it tells you what chapter, and then it's got this map. So each one usually has a map. There's a coloring page, which is perfect if you have kiddos that want to work on something while you're reading. That is great for that. It does have here, like I said, the paper dolls. It has 3 different ones. I didn't like that they weren't labeled specifically which is which because they were 3 different countries, but we figured it out. And then this was a board game that it also had included that I really thought they would want to do this, but they were just not interested. So we did not do this as well. But it is available if you guys are curious. I wanted to show you guys what kind of activities are available in the activity book because I do think that it is something that you could really utilize in a good manner. All right. So these are our map work. You got your map. Ivy's just joining us.
Over here is west.
For fun. Yes. Okay. So it says, Great Britain wanted to pay for the 7 Years' War, so they taxed the colonies. The colonists were unhappy with the taxes, so the British sent more soldiers to the colonies. Draw an arrow from Britain to the northern part of the colonies, and above the arrow write taxes and soldiers.
And what color?
Near Boston is where you're going to draw that arrow. And then you're going to write taxes and soldiers. Taxes. Taxes.
They did it to us.
ERS. Good job. Yeah, let's turn it around like this. There they go. Good job. Very good. Okay. Now it says you need green. We're going to get green and we are going to, it says the taxes generated much income for Great Britain. They got a lot of money, didn't they? Draw a green arrow from the colonies back to Britain and put a $sign. So, and then you can put a $sign above it. It's okay.
Mama, everything's upside down. Mama, everything's
2 lines. Draw the line this way.
Maybe I'll just move.
Very good. Okay.
Money.
In protest, in protest to the taxes, 60 colonists in Boston dumped 342 chests of what?
Tea.
Of tea into the Boston harbor. So you're going to draw next to Boston a little teacup. You can pick what color you want it to be. Okay, so with the map work, I absolutely love that it has step-by-step written out what I need to say, what color they need to use. It just has it so easily laid out for parents to just jump in and do it and get it done and move on. It's not complicated. It's not tricky. My 4-year-old obviously is not getting as much out of this as my 2 bigger kids who are 6th and 4th grade, but she wanted to join in and it's available that she can. So I like that that's available too for her to be included. So yay! Sent 30,000 more soldiers to New York. You've already drawn a line from Great Britain to the north part of the colonies. Have another arrow come from the middle of this line towards New York. Under the arrow, write 30,000 soldiers. So So this is showing you guys how my girls wanted to do this lesson. I do have girls and boys, and the boys needed something a little bit more hands-on. So my boys are younger. They are 8 and 7 and then 4, and they wanted to actually reenact the war with their little people and little action figure things. So they are working on that in the other room to show us the war, and it's a really silly, but I like that they wanted to have something that was involving that, so I'm still okay with it.
So the British are fighting the Americans.
Why are they fighting?
Because, I don't know. Because they want Captain America.
No, why did they fight in history?
Because there's a electrical arm.
Because what? What did they want?
Driving cars.
They wanted freedom.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. They wanted to be free.
From the nose.
Now, how did it work like this? Is this how the war went down?
Yes.
They lined up?
No. Yes. Wow. They lined up and then they left.
All right. Are you guys ready for your war?
Yes. Tell them to go.
Okay.
Go!
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
I'm so fun. I'm so fun.
Sometimes we need to back off a little bit, mamas, on making everything by the book and by the, following all these rules that we put on ourselves, and just let the kids have fun, because sometimes that is more important and that is how they are going to learn those lessons. So I was okay with this. Like I said, we did do some cool stuff here. This is on Minecraft. My daughter made a Jamestown fort, and I thought she did a really great job on this. She was showing it to me here and showing me all the things that she did. She did include a church, some basic houses. She included a wall. I think this was a log cabin here, and I think that's what that one was. I'm not sure. And then she had a church, like I said. I think that's the second one she's going to show you guys here. And she had a wall surrounding the city. Yeah, this is the church that she made for them, and it's all done with wood. And I like that she was able to do that, to take what she's been learning and recreate it. And when I was a kid, we made models and we made these like 3D things, but this is what the kids are interested in right now, so I'm okay with her utilizing this and doing it this way. So like I said, that is worked well in our home. She's showing you here the wall, how she's got the top here where they can walk along the top and shoot out and protect their fort. I don't know if this is exactly how it would have looked, but she did a really good job. She put a lot of thought and work and worked well on this, so I'm okay with this. This is the little cabin with the little loft up here. It's so cute. It reminds me of Little House on the Prairie. So we've also been able to look at Roblox and use some of those things, and I had the kids search American Revolution, and they found this Bunker Hill game that somebody had created, and it is the Battle of Bunker Hill that they could pick. Now, they weren't able to pick American patriots to be those characters because there were too many people playing on that side, so they actually had to play on the British side, which they weren't as thrilled about. But my two boys here were able to play together and walk around, and they said it was a little bit tricky, but I think there was just a learning curve with this because they hadn't played it before. But they got to have the uniforms, they got to walk around the fort. You've got the winter, like you so often hear, like the Valley Forge. They've got their, it looks fairly well done. I was actually impressed with the way this was done and created. It's got little things they can talk, and it's got little stands where they can get supplies and different things. And like I said, these guys are on the British side, so they would have had a little bit more fancy things set up, but they could walk all around, and there were different things. They got to have the war, so they got to fight characters. I just thought it was really well done, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it's just another way of making their learning more entertaining and fun. No, this is not in the Story of the World activity book. Yes, this is using media and tablets and computers and games. Yes, it's doing all of that. But you know what? That is the world we live in. And I am okay with that because they are still learning. It's actually pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of when I was a kid and we learned about Oregon Trail. and we had the Oregon Trail game, and I remember that so vividly because we had that game. And I remember just so much about learning about the Oregon Trail and the things that they would die from and the diseases and the axles falling off the wheels. I just remember it so thoroughly and so clearly, and I think it's because I enjoyed learning it because we had a game that went with it. And so that's what they're doing here, and they enjoyed this. It wasn't, of course, their very favorite. It's not the game they would have picked on their free time, but it is something that they enjoyed. So I just wanted to share it with you guys as well. All right, guys, that wraps up our Story of the World lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Go back, check out the other videos from our Watch Us Homeschool Wednesday if you want to see more do-it lessons or more live homeschooling of what we do. Stay tuned for Friday. I'm going to be sharing more about this and whether or not we're going to continue next year.